And now, welcome back to the Tech Summit podcast. This is going to be episode 3. And yeah, well, let's just jump right in. Tonight, we're going to be talking about um, Android 13 for the most part. And then we are going to still talk about some of the retro handhelds that are still going to be running on Android. And what Android 13 could probably mean for some of those retro handhelds moving forward once they do end up getting Android 13. So obviously I am going to have my little iPad over here to reference everything when we do get to that point. But I wanted to say that Android 13 does seem to be an OS that has been getting a lot of excitement as of lately. Obviously, like not so much in a retro handheld market since it's still going to be a while for us to start getting that. I mean, Android 11, I want to say, is probably the most recent version of Android that has graced us in the retro handheld world. So this is definitely pretty interesting to see, but obviously, like this is meant for smartphones like my Google Pixel 6 Pro, and possibly my Google Pixel 7, if and only if I end up getting it. When the time comes when it does release in October, since we always get a new Pixel in October. But let's see if it is something that would even be worth it to begin with. So yeah, actually, this would even make for a pretty good opportunity to talk about the Google Pixel 7. Considering that that is a phone that we should be expecting pretty soon. The iPhone 14 is another one that we should be expecting pretty soon. So let's see, Google Pixel 7. So we can go ahead and talk about specs or maybe some things that we should be expecting from it. Even here, like it says on the Google Pixel, on the Google Store online, it even says get ready for the Pixel 7 Pro and the Pixel 7, which are on deck. So these phones look like they are going to be fairly interesting. Recently, I actually got my hands on the Google Pixel Buds Pro, and they sound incredible for what they are. So I'm excited to see what the Pixel 7 and the Pixel 7 Pro are going to be like. It looks like they are going to be still somewhat of a departure from the Pixel 6, because usually what happens is that we get one phone, like for example, with the Pixel 2 and the Pixel 3. So the Pixel 2 was a huge departure from the Pixel 1, and then the Pixel 3 was basically the Pixel 2, but just upgraded. And the same thing happened with the Pixel 4 and the Pixel 5. So it looks like in this case with the Pixel 6 and the Pixel 7, well, in terms of their looks, they aren't going to be all that different. It does, at the very least, seem like this is going to be a little bit more of a substantial upgrade, and it looks like that is more so going to come in the form of the cameras themselves. Now, when it comes to the 7 Pro, it looks like that one's going to be getting most of the camera upgrades, if anything. There isn't really too much information right now on Google's website regarding the Google Pixel 7, except that it is going to be coming, and that it is going to come with Android 13 to start with, which obviously makes a lot of sense. I'm definitely excited to see it. And it looks like Google is also going to be releasing their Pixel Watch, which I am a lot less excited about. As you guys might already know, I'm just not a smartwatch kind of person. And there was actually a smartwatch that got sent to me fairly recently by this brand that I will not mention, since I already told them I'm not going to make a review on the smartwatch at all, because the smartwatch doesn't really work. I accepted to do a review on it at first, but the watch ended up not working for me. Like half of the features on it don't actually function. And when I told the company about it, rather than helping me get through these issues, or sending me a replacement unit, just something, they just decided to say, no, it's fine. The smartwatch is fine. It's working exactly as it's intended to. And I told them I can't really, or at least if I end up reviewing this watch, it's going to be a very negative review, which is not going to be good for you, and it's not really going to be worth for me making. So I recommend that I just don't make anything until we get these issues resolved. But this company was very persistent, so I just haven't made that review, and I won't be making that review until we settle things. Now, the Pixel Watch is something that I most likely still will not be reviewing because it is a smartwatch. I'm just not that interested in smartwatches. Smartwatches do seem to be just very redundant in general to me, because it just seems like it's like a much more pared down version of your smartphone that you wear on your wrist, that does a lot less than what your smartphone can do already. But the benefit is that, again, you just wear it on your wrist. And I just don't really see the point in that. I think that smartwatches are just incredibly redundant. For example, back in my iPhone days, when I was an iPhone user exclusively, I had an iPhone SE, first generation iPhone SE, and I paired it up with the first generation Apple Watch. I remember the second generation Apple Watch was definitely better than the first generation in quite a few ways, especially regarding battery life. But the first generation was actually very poor when it came to the battery life. But one of the things that I do remember pretty well about it is just that it seldom got used. I mostly just used it like just to see if I got a notification like, oh, okay, I can look at the text message without picking up my phone. And I spent $400 to do this exactly. And when I'm answering phone calls, it's not like I do it through my watch, because it's going to sound awful. I'm hardly going to hear it. Or if I'm in public, I don't want other people to hear me having a conversation on speaker mode in order for me to be able to have that conversation. So smartwatch is incredibly redundant to me. If I end up reviewing the smartwatch by some kind of miracle, then I think that would still be kind of cool. Oh, and by the way, if you can hear a lot of things going on outside right now, is because I do have the garage gates open, because it is insanely hot today. I think that it is reaching somewhere of upwards of, let me see, we should be getting pretty close to 90 degrees. It's actually 85 degrees right now, but either way, so that's what we're dealing with right now. And when it comes to the smartwatch, I think it looks beautiful, of course, but I just don't see myself using it. And if by some miracle I end up reviewing it, we'll see what I end up thinking. But right now, there aren't any plans of me to review it, especially considering that I would have to directly buy that thing, and only God knows how much that's going to end up being. I'm sure that they're going to want to compete with the Apple Watch. But now, with that said, I wanted to mostly really talk about Android 13. It's just that I do tend to get pretty excited about like Google Pixel products and that kind of thing. I actually really want to see them update their Google Pixel tablet line, because I think that they could do a lot with that in order to compete with the iPad Pro. But of course, they're going to need a lot of software support, and that's mostly what we're lacking in right now. However, right now I am on AndroidAuthority.com, and whoops, I did not mean to play that. Oh, okay, so let's go back. Anyway, AndroidAuthority.com. This article was written by C. Scott Brown, and it is titled Android 13 Features All the Biggest New Additions. It was uploaded on August 15th, or published, I should say, on August 15th, 2022. So that was fairly recently, almost 2 weeks ago. But still, I mean, this is a lot to take a look at. So there are going to be some pretty interesting changes when it comes to Android 13 from Android 12, and one of those things is it's actually going to be auto theming. So that's something that I am kind of interested in. So you can turn it on and off. I'm pretty certain of that. Like if you just want your apps to look exactly as they should, or if you want your app logos to be themed after whatever background you have. I think that that's a pretty cool feature. It is something that I am going to be testing, like just to see how good it is, how well it actually ends up matching up with your background and that kind of thing. Even if you're not using like Google's own wallpapers, and that kind of thing. But it is something that I am kind of excited for still, nonetheless. And now, here's one thing that definitely interested me. That says Android 12 brought one of the operating system's most significant UI revamps in years with Material U. The new interface enables more personable customization options from wallpaper-based color palette controls to more intuitive animations. Android 13 doesn't change things as radically, but Google still brought some new features and design tweaks, such as auto-theming, of course, which is something that, again, is going to need to be tested to see how good it's going to be. With some of the screenshots that Google provided, it does seem like it is going to work pretty well, but mostly with Google's own wallpapers, I'm sure. If you tried like your own little anime wallpaper, your little animated anime wallpapers and that kind of thing, then there is really no telling how well that's going to work. But I do wonder how well it would work with a Persona 5 wallpaper. It would probably turn everything black and red, which is kind of cool to think about. So more Material U theming options. The OS update also extends the available color theming options by offering 6 new palettes relating to specific shades or complementary hues. So it mostly really just has to do with aesthetics for the most part, which isn't necessarily all that useful to me. And that's, quite frankly, to be completely honest, everything that interests me regarding Android 13. It has been getting a lot of excitement. But it's just another software update, really, that other devices are just going to have to catch up with. But obviously, it is good that Android keeps getting updated like this, especially the Google Pixel series. That's actually one of the main reasons why I love my Pixel as much as I do. It is because I will be one of the first people to get those updates because I have a Pixel. So I can't really complain about that. I love it. I love my Pixel, and I will continue to stick with Pixel for a considerable while longer. So now, speaking of which, how is this update going to work when it comes to retro handhelds? Well, firstly, one thing is for certain, and it's that we are not going to be seeing these updates coming over to retro handhelds for quite a while. I mean, probably not until Android 15 is out, and then again, Android 13. I feel like most of the value that it's going to bring to retro handhelds is going to be when it comes to compatibility with apps and that kind of thing, really, at the end of the day. I'm hoping that by that time, every retro handheld that is released comes out with Android. And that includes handhelds such as the Palkity X28, which will probably come out in the fall. Now, we are fast approaching the fall. The fall is going to be next month in September. So it could release as early as September, probably, or as late as November to December, since wintertime technically doesn't really begin until December 20th or the 21st, I think. So there is still a pretty big window there. Fall is going to be pretty long. Like this summer hasn't been long enough already, and we still have like almost another month left of it. But yeah, like mostly everything that we should be seeing that matters for retro handhelds when it comes to Android 13 should just be based off of compatibility. The aesthetics are going to be completely different. But then again, I mean, if that is something that ends up coming to, for example, my Odin Pro, I would appreciate that a lot, considering that the theming, like everything would just look so nice and uniform. But like I keep saying, that is a feature that we are going to have to test out in due time. But I like it so far. I do like the direction that Android 13 is heading in. Sure, we're not getting too many changes, too many features yet, but these are things that will be coming with time. And the retro handheld scene, regardless, shouldn't even have to worry about Android 13 for quite some time yet, since Android 11 is still fairly recent. It is 2 years old at this point, but it is still fairly recent, and it's been working wonders when it comes to a lot of handhelds. Unfortunately, not every handheld can really take advantage of it, because if you don't have the Play Store available on your handheld, then it almost doesn't really matter what version of Android you're running on, unless the apps that you want already come pre-installed. And I'm looking at you, Ambernick, with the RG353P. And another thing that I actually discovered fairly recently is that they're planning on releasing the RG353V, which is going to be the vertical version of the P version. A lot of letters and numbers, for sure. But yeah, that one, I think that a lot of people are going to see it as a more substantial upgrade. I don't know personally if I'm going to be reviewing that one. Since that one just seems like the 353p but vertical, and I've already done a lot of reviews on devices running on the on the 3226 or 3326 chipset. I always forget the exact set of numbers there, but I've already reviewed quite a few retro handhelds running on that chipset as is, whether they're running on Linux or on Android, and a lot of them really perform pretty close to the same, like pretty close to each other, but not entirely either. Like, there are still going to be some differences in terms of performance. Like, how will the manufacturer tweak each given device, especially if you're dealing with Linux, for example, where you have a little bit less customization than you would on something like Android. How is it going to run? So I feel like that's going to be the same thing with this chipset in particular. I forget exactly what chipset it is, but yeah, I think that things are going to be pretty stagnant. I kind of wanted Ambernick to release something maybe a little bit more substantial on the Android side to compete more so with the Iron Odin. But it looks like they're just hedging their bets on the RG552, which the community has been supporting more than Ambernick has in general. So that's something to keep in mind. But with that said, I do think that things are just going to be heading in that direction. Android 13, a lot of people are very excited about. Now, so when is it going to start hitting the retro handheld market? Well, it's going to be a couple of years, no doubt, for it to start hitting us. But with that said, thank you so much for watching today's episode of the Tech Summit podcast. And if you have been just listening also, well, thank you so much for listening. Now, please make sure to subscribe on the main channel, which is just going to be Tech Summit. I'm trying to make it to 25K by the end of this year. So if you would add your subscription on there, I would appreciate that a lot. And I also have other channels. I have a vlogging channel too, and I have other accounts you can follow me on. So you can follow me on Twitch, where I do stream every week, twice a week. And I also have an Instagram where you can follow me over there in case of anything as well. So with that said, thank you so much for watching / listening. This has been Francisco from Tech Summit. Thank you for your viewership. And until next time, have a good one and enjoy.